Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Be the Good. My name is Pia Ranada, Rappler Community Lead, and you're watching another episode of our community show. It's April 1, the end of March, and alam natin Women's Month ang March, and we are ending it with a bang. So today I am with a panel of 3 strong women, and this is a panel for Women's Month. We celebrate women on a mission, and I will be introducing you to them one by one. This is a very special episode kasi first time natin mag-panel discussion, and we're doing it really to celebrate the ways women have blazed the trail in various sectors. So starting with Maureen Mata, she is a persons with disability rights advocate working for many years now in that sector. We also have with us Anna Oposa, who is the chief mermaid and co-founder of Save Philippine Seas. Welcome, Anna. And here to my right is Karen Crisostomo. So we all know her as a very active transport advocate. So she's co-founder of Bicycle Friendly Philippines. So thank you so much for being here today, April 1, for our panel.
We're very happy to be here.
Okay, so
Happy Women's Month.
Yes, Happy Women's Month. And it's exactly why we invited you, because we know that women have blazed the trail in many ways in the fields you work at. But we really want to know ano pa yung kailangan pang gawin to help blaze more space for women and even LGBTQ members who want to make a difference in those sectors, in the sectors you're active in. So we really wanted to start with that note and really to inspire in all of our viewers on the ways that they can take part and take action within their communities. So yun nga, you come from very different sectors. We actually invited you primarily because we wanted a diversity of women or also of parang passions and advocacy. So, diba, parang from persons with disability rights, inclusion rights, we also have marine conservation, and of course, active transport. So, all about, those are very interesting topics, and I'm sure ang lalaki ng medyo meeting discussion natin for that. So, I really wanted to start with your passion. I wanted to know more about the worlds you all, thrive in. So, first question ko would be, could you describe one by one what is your mission and what's the story behind your organizations or the way you started to go on those missions? So siguro we can start with Karen.
Okay. My mission, actually, ang dami yung mission on it. It's quite a lot, but the mission is to make our streets bicycle friendly. And the vision is actually that there will be no need for a bike lane, but more because our city streets will be filled with people on bicycles, and perhaps what will be left will just be one lane, a car lane. So it's the other way around, because right now what we have is a bike lane, if you call it a bike lane.
Symbolic.
Yes, if you can even call it that. And then the rest are really, it's taken up by motorized transportation. So that's what we want to do. We want to make, because it's a livable city. That's what we want, livable cities. And how do we do it? One, by biking, by living it out, to show that it can be done. When people say that it's too hot to bike, I biked at 1 p.m. today, just to show that it can be done. But what I'm trying to say is, because right now we were just having an earlier discussion about climate change, and if there were less cars on the road, that road will not feel as warm as it felt today. And if we had trees on the road, because every time I pass a tree-lined, street, you can really feel the difference. So, people who say it's too hot to bike in the Philippines, it's not true. It can be done if we had trees and if we had less cars. So, and that's how it came about. Because when we talk about how did it happen? We wanted to promote the bicycle for clean air. But then now, we realized that through the years, there were very many people already on bicycles. We also felt that, okay, maybe the promotion of the bicycle is, we've done our part, but what about their safety? So we were thinking about, we would go around policies, templates for LGUs so that they could adopt it and make it for the safety of cyclists. And we included pedestrians because, again, the first step to any journey is you have to walk. You have to walk anywhere, and then then you get on your bike. But so that's how we started. Of course, again, I think some people, there's always an element of love. There's always an element of love. Yes, it was my husband who really got me out, and biking, and really pushed me and showed me that, hey, these are where you're going is very bikeable. You don't need to take your car. You can either walk or you can bike it. So that's actually the dream that we want. We want that families, which is all our children they used to bike to school, so we all bike. It's our primary mode of transportation. Why? Because we can bike, because we can do it,
That's
because we
nice.
can move on.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Anna, could we hear your story?
Yes, so my story, I guess I'm a reluctant environmentalist. I really didn't want to be in environment. When I was younger, my dream was to be the next Lea Salonga. So I was in musical
layo, ah.
theater. Ang layo talaga. I was in musical theater. I was voice lessons, dance lessons. I was teaching theater. I was in musicals. I was also a writer and majored in English studies in UP, thinking I would be a professor or an author. Your upbringing catches up with you. So my dad's an environmental lawyer. So I grew up really exposed to environmental issues. And I always say that as soon as I could learn to walk, I learned how to plant trees. So it's inescapable. And then after college, I was applying for jobs. And then there was this big illegal wildlife trade case that hit the news. And it was called the Rape of the Philippine Seas. That was back in 2011. And because I wasn't doing anything. I was active online. A few strangers and I got together and started the hashtag Save PHCs. And that's how the campaign started. Initially, it was supposed to be a campaign. And then the campaign died down. And then I thought, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, I like it. And then I ended up staying. And it's been almost 13 years.
Amazing.
Yeah. And our mission is to conserve and protect our coastal and marine resources. And we say we do it by empowering citizens. Because we want to remind Filipinos, especially Filipinos, that we are all connected to the sea.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a country of more than 7,000 islands, but there's such a disconnect between ourselves and how we relate to the sea. So we're trying to change the way people think about the sea, how we relate to the sea, and how we take care of the sea. So that's what we're trying to do in Save Philippine Seas.
Nice. I love how the personal weaves into the professional. Doc now.
Yeah, what's my mission? I grew up in a family wherein we're three sisters and only one brother. So it means that equality is there. I was not yet a person with disability because I got amputated when I was 18 years old because of bone cancer. So it was kind of schoolhouse. But after I was amputated, that's the time that I got this thinking that it should not be a barrier for me. So one of the counselors in our area talked with my parents if I would like to organize an organization of persons with disabilities in our area. And then afterwards, I became the president. And then I don't feel the need to see to it that I should be equal with you because you're guys. Yeah. So since I'm an empowered woman already, not having yet a disability, because I felt vulnerable when I had this disability of mine, this impairment, I mean. But when I was with the sector, that's the time that I saw that women and women with disabilities are really that doubly marginalized and doubly vulnerable. So that's the time that I joined one organization again. It's a Women with Disabilities organization, and it's called WOW LEAP. So it's Women with Disabilities Leap to Social and Economic Progress Incorporated. It's now 21 years.
Wow.
So we're in this organization is composed of women with disability leaders, and I saw it's quite okay to be part of them, and they're very it seems as if I'm part of the family, and I was mentored by them. Then I saw myself that I would like to become like them, or to advocate the rights of persons with disabilities, specifically me being a woman, and secondly as a person with disability. And my mission now is I would want to make a difference, whether it be small or big, particularly in accessibility and inclusive transportation. I'm kind of active with another organization, which is Move as One Coalition, and I'm with Ate Karen. And I guess I heard about one attorney Oposa that time, before pandemic, and I got this thinking that I would want to be like them. No, not just one, but several. Not just definitely men with men, but women who I'm now looking up, like Ate Karen, for example, and some other women. Even though I have this disability or this impairment, I know I can be like them, looking at it not just outside of the box, but being with them, working with them through so that inclusion will be set in. I know inclusion is not just in a snap of our fingers, so it will really take time. So it's more of progressive realization on my part. And whether it be a small organization or a woman in our community, a girl child with disability, or a parent who has girl daughter, So I think what I really want now is to make a difference in their lives and see to it that they be empowered, as what my parents did with me, being an empowered woman with disability now. That's it.
So, your experience, 10 years, 21, 13, I mean, obviously you all three have extensive experience in the sectors you're very active in now. So, magandang segue yan for my next question, which really, feel free to jump in, anyone. Wala nang order daw, but just feel free to answer the questions. Yung next would be, what are the unique challenges that women face in your fields? Like marine conservation, I know bikers who are women face certain challenges, and of course, you already mentioned some of the challenges faced by persons with disabilities who are women. So, from your experience, all those decades and years in the field?
Through the years that we've been biking, as a bike commuter, we've been a bike commuter for 20 years. You'll always hear, uy, babae. No matter what, you'll always hear, uy, babae pala. And I'm also small, so biglang, kala nila, ay, may edad na pala. No, I mean, kasi I'm small, di ba? I'm small, so pero they didn't in their minds na, it's not common to see women on a bike, whether you're going between jeepneys and trucks and buses, and because in their minds na it's not something that a woman would do. I mean, back then, but now, because you see now that there are more bikers, the numbers have increased, so that's really good. Yeah. But the challenge is, for example, I noticed that how there are it's when we need to go to the bathroom, for example, they always provide for men where you can easily, there's a, what you call it, a latrine, urinal. But for women, I was thinking, so where do they think women will go?
Right.
When we go on long rides, or even just along for commuting. So that's something that I realized, that why is it that mindset is always for the men folk, but not thinking about women who would be commuting on a bicycle? That's one challenge I have. There's actually a lot, but go ahead.
Well, anyone can jump in naman. So
for me, when I started, I was in my early 20s. So meron pang factor of like inexperienced, and then a young woman, and then I didn't have. At that time, hindi pa cool maging environmentalist eh. Parang it was just the movement for young people to get involved in environment was not common. And I remember one challenge is people saying, naku, wag kang mag-swimming, iitim ka.
Same.
Pag umitim ka,
double
hindi ka,
standards pa.
Pag umitim ka, you're not going to be attractive to men. Ganyan. On the contrary. And then meron ding, o kababae mong tao, mag-isa ka nagbabiyahe. Or alam ba ng asawa mo or boyfriend mo na nagbabiyahe ka mag-isa, like that? Or pinayagan ka ba ng asawa or boyfriend mo to travel? And that has so many assumptions. Na una, that I'm someone who needs permission to do the things that I do, and two, that there's something wrong with a woman who travels by herself. And it was really hard at first. I felt like yung imposter syndrome ko mas malala compared to my male colleagues. And I always felt like I had to overcompensate. So I work so much harder and I prepare so much harder compared to other people who can just walk in and just kind of wing it. Parang for me, hindi ko yun kaya because I know that there are odds against me. And then I remember there was one meeting, I was presenting to a local government. I was 24 years old, pitching for a marine protected area. So I said, any questions po? And then one counselor raised his hand and said, may mga nagtatanong po kung single ka. Kasi irereto ko namin dun sa pamangkin ko. Something like that. Which my male counterparts would never ever get asked. So those are just like nuances that hindi naiintindihan ng ibang tao.
Yeah, that is true, no? Number one challenge is the stereotyping of women. Kawawa ka naman. Ba't wala kang kasamang bumabiyahe? You usually travel alone, no? Especially if with work. And with the work that I'm handling now, I'm a project manager and of WowLeap, and we have 4 project areas. So every time I go alone or I travel alone, they ask me, ba't wala kang kasama? Nasa na asawa mo? Nasa ng boyfriend mo? Kawawa ka naman. Yung ganun. And then, same thing happened. I was in the middle of an orientation with the LGU officials in one partner areas. And then, somebody asked me, okay, how about your love life? You know, so it seems that the thinking, if you're a woman, let's discount I have a disability, right? So it seems that kailangan may kapartner ka, may kasama ka palagi, no? Lalo na't meron pa akong kapansanan, sinasabi nila na dapat hindi ako bumabiyaheng mag-isa. So yun yung doble kong kailangan ipatunayan sa kanila na hindi porket babae ako at may kapansanan pa, hindi ko kayang gawin kung ano yung kaya ng mga lalaki. Pero yun na-mention mo, totoo yun na parang doble yung effort na ginagawa mo to prove to them that you're worth it. Parang you can do it also, no? Katulad ng mga ginagawa din ng ating male counterpart. Yun. Another is, siguro mismo yung mga kababaihan din yung nagiging challenge din natin. Yan. Kasi minsan hindi din nila tanggap na may kapansanan ka na, kaya mo, no? Kasi sila walang kapansanan. Yun yung minsan nakakalungkot na parang may mga areas talaga na nadadown ka. Siguro hindi naman nila minimin dahil yung awareness din siguro sa disability sa community natin is mababa pa talaga. So, ako tinitingnan ko na lang siya as a constructive criticism, no? Para hindi din ako nasasaktan kapag yung tingin sa akin ay hindi kaya or dahil may kapansanan ako, dapat sa bahay na lamang ako. Kasi sa Philippines, ang charity approach, no, yun pa rin ang tingin, welfare namin. Lalo't may kapansanan ako, yun ang tingin. Yun yung muna ng mga challenges na experience ko din.
So how did you deal with that? Yung ganang mga challenges you face, obviously it just means that there's a long way to go when it comes to equalizing the playing field, diba? Giving women space and recognition. How did you deal with those instances and what do you think should be done to fix those mindsets na problematic?
You really have to be resilient. You can't back out or you can't back down. For example, everything that you mentioned, the stereotyping, the becoming dark. You just, paninindigan mo yan eh. Kasi unang-una, it doesn't take away really, from who you are and what if you really believe in it, then you really have to be, that voice. And for example, the catcalling. Catcalling is a huge, I'm sure anywhere we go, whether it's on a bike, or walking, or even as you're giving
in the press conference with a soon-to-be president.
Yes. So these are things that, how do you deal with it? I've had to call out. Even my friends. They're my friends, but I will call them out and I'll say, excuse me, just think of this. If that was your daughter, would that be okay with you? Or is that your sister or your mom? So I have to call them out because if we laugh along with them, you're showing them that
it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. Especially, you have this GCs, the group chats, and then they'll suddenly post a picture of a woman, objectifying the woman, and then you'll see all the comments. And so that's when I'll start saying, excuse me guys, can we put this in perspective and think of this, your sister, your mom, your your wife, and then they'll, of course they'll say, "Oh, we apologize." Sometimes some of them will actually react to, "Oh, sobra ka naman yan." So, no, I said no. That's enough.
Yeah.
Stand your ground,
Yeah.
despite the backlash.
I'll build on what you said about calling out people. You have to call them out, but you also have to call them in. So by doing that, like what you said, it's calling out people and telling them what is the more inclusive way, but calling them in them by also like writing letters. So my friends joke that my hobby is writing letters. So just a basic example, I work out in this fitness boutique, and the instructors set different targets for men and women. Mas mahirap yung target for men. And it really upset me. So I wrote a letter to the management. Yeah, I'm like, hello.
Upset customer.
No, I wrote it naman very constructively. I said, when we set different targets for men and women, we perpetuate that incorrect and harmful stereotype that women are weaker. And strength has many other factors, not just gender. And sinabi ko naman na, of course, women have other considerations, like our monthly period, we get cramps, so sometimes we're not as fast, but it's not just, gender is not the only basis. So you have to call them out and call them in by talking about it, by writing letters, and really speaking up. Kahit na sobrang gasgas na yung advice na speak up, gasgas siya kasi kailangan pa natin siyang gawin.
Yeah, you have to be a voice for it.
Yeah.
That is true, no? Siguro I'll concur with both of you, no? Because our voices really are very, very important, no? Aside from calling them out and calling them in, it's really very important that we have to make them aware of these things. So ako, what I usually do is, in a proper perspective, siguro like, for example, if there's an orientation, so para at least medyo ma-formalize konti. At sila rin yung audience na nandoon. So, I usually provide instances or situations. And sometimes, lalapit na lang sila na, ay, sorry, pasensya na. Yung ganun. So, na hindi naman sila nadi-disrespect, no? Yung parang ganoon. Kasi wala namang ganoong eksena, sabi nga nila. Pero ako is, siguro I'm a gender advocate also, no? Being part of it, I'm seeing at it in a way na what I will feel kapag ganun din ang nangyari. Or ano rin ang mararamdaman nila. Kapag kunyari, lalaki ako, pag ganito rin, ano kayo mararamdaman nila pag kinall out ko sila? Baka makiramdam nila ma-disrespect din sila. So, I'm also putting myself in other people's shoes. Pero, hindi ko sabihin through, yung mga ganoon na, aside from awareness raising, syempre, aside from sa mga na-mention ninyo is, kailangan may storytelling. So, sa facilitating technique kasi na binibigay namin is more of ipapakwento namin yung kwento ng buhay ng isang babae, lalo kung may kapansanan nito, at para maintindihan din ng mga taong ito, ano yung pinanggagalingan ng mga babaeng katulad ko, lalong-lalo na yung mga nasa grassroots, nasa community talaga.
Tama, kasi usually narratives actually capture attention more easily.
Sure.
And are more powerful. Yes.
And it's more authentic actually. Na-experience niya, naramdaman niya, alam niya yon kung paano niya ikukwento sa harapan o sa nakararami. At may intindihan yon kasi yung nagkakwento ng narrative niya na yon, siya rin na possible magbigay ng pwedeng solusyon o rekomendasyon para alam na. Yun.
Speaking from experience
yes.
talaga.
I want also to ask, kasi you're also women of passion, and that's something also that women should celebrate, that we chase after our dreams, and every woman should be free to do that, right? So I wanted to ask you, what is the best part of your work, and what gets you up in the morning?
And then ako, kasi I always say that I like that in my head, I'm being part of the solution. Because everyone, every time I worked in an LGU, and right away when they say, ano bang problema ng LGU? And they're gonna say, traffic ang number one. And then I'll say, that's why we need to have more people on bicycles, because that means you'll be one less car. So when I, knowing that I always say, I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So that's one. Two, I know that it's like you're leaving a mark. You're doing something good for the environment. You're doing something good for the community. You're doing something good for yourself. No maintenance. It's healthy. You're happy. You're happy because of the happy hormones when you're yes. So
Endorphins.
that's something that really makes me like what I'm doing, while I'm on a bike.
Nice.
What gets me up in the morning is being able to witness aha moments of the people we work with. So a lot of people in environment go into environment because they like the plants and animals. So initially, ako rin, I wanted to protect sharks. And then the longer I stayed in the field, the more I realized that I want to work with people and not animals. No, but it's unique because a lot of scientists and biologists, they just want to stay out in the field, work with the animals and plants. But for me, it's really more about the people and the communities. I think I'm naturally like a community builder, which I didn't realize until much later na ito talaga yung gusto kong gawin. And we do a lot of environmental education programs where we take people snorkeling, we teach people about climate change, about corals, and ang dami. Most of the people in our programs have never been in the sea. So 70 to 90%, we always do a survey. So 70 to 90% of our programs, yung participants never pa yan nakapunta sa dagat. And they live near the coast or by the coast. So being able to witness how something clicks in their head and their eyes light up na, ang ganda ng dagat, ang daming isda. Like, so, ako naiiyak pa rin ako pag nakakakita ko ng mga tao who get so inspired. And then their lives start to change because they see the world with different lenses. So they become more empowered, they become more confident. We've been working with a lot of teachers, teaching them about climate change. And when they tell us na, we taught 300 students in our school about climate change and what we can do about it. That is what keeps me going. And even if there are a lot of difficult days and difficult moments, when I remember those things, then parang, okay, kaya pa to.
It's
Kaya
enough to sustain you through the worst of it.
Yeah. What wakes me up aside from coffee?
Everyone.
Yes. Siguro it's making a difference, no? Every time kasi naniniwala ako ng pulso ng tao ay nasa ground, nasa community, wala sa taas, kundi nasa community siya. And I love seeing na may mga difference akong nagagawa. Yung may ownership sila, yung masaya sila, dahil parang na-enhance yung mga meron sila na hindi nila akala na meron sila. Yeah, for example, isang person or a woman who is also an amputee like me, no? So, maganda siya. Actually, may nakita akong sa pinuntahan ko. I just came back from Eastern Samar and San Jose Dinagat Island. I was there for 2 weeks. And she was just like me, no, an amputee. Ganong edad ako nung naputulan ng paa. At nakita ko yung sarili ko sa kanya. Alam mo yung pakiramdam na sabi ko, gusto ko na makapagtapos siya ng pag-aaral. Pero feeling ko kailangan unti-untiin siya kasi kailangan niyang, dahil siya ang parang kailangan magtrabaho para sa mga magulang niya. Pero kahit meron na siyang kapansanan, pero sabi ko hindi. Hindi ko siya titigilan. Parang ganun. So may mga tao akong alam kong may matutulungan, no, na sa maliit na bagay, sa magandang pagtapik ng balikat lang, you did a good job, parang ang galing, no, na akala niya, mali yung ginawa niya, pero okay naman pala yun. Parang sasabihin sa'yo, tama ba Ate Mau? Sabi sa akin, oo, tama yan, sige. Pagpatuloy mo lang yan. So, ako kasi it's more of, hindi lang isang samahan, kundi isa-isang tao talaga. Na, kasi tailor fit no? Parang customized ba yung aking approach sa kanila. To the point na, ito, alam kong intervention na lang to, ito prevention. Nakita ko sa kanila na, hindi naman nila kailangan ibalik sa akin yung mga natulungan ko sa kanila. Kasi nakita ko na po ngayon sabi ko, I want you guys to pay it forward to all the people that lahat kayo na natulungan. Hindi ko naman po, kasi gusto ko na behind the scenes lang talaga ako. At marami po, kasi kunyari ikaw, 10 matutulungan mo, yung 10 yun, 10 ulit. At it really matter na makreate ako ng advocates pagdating sa mga tao may kapansanan, na katulad ko, na hindi ang tingin sa amin ay mula ulo hanggang paa, na ang pagtingin, kaawa-awa, pagtingin, wala kang magagawa. Ang pagtingin, parang palamunin ka ng society o parang nakatanghod na lang ang kamay. So gusto kong makita nila from a different perspective na productive members of the society ng mga katulad namin nasa sektor na may kapansanan. And yun yung paunti-unti, hindi agad-agad. No, yun yung gusto kong makita. Sabi ko nga, progressive realization palagi. And inclusion, hindi naman siya in just a snap of our finger, pero una maalis yung negative perception nila tungkol sa aming mga may kapansanan.
Yung inverse naman ng question ko kanina, gusto ko rin i-bring up, di ba? So if you know what sparks joy dun sa ginagawa niyong work, what is a bad day for you and how do you deal with it? Ano yung mga challenges dun sa, what's like, if you can imagine the worst day and how you deal with that?
If, taking up from what Doc Mao said, though, you do it one person at a time or one group at a time because it creates waves and you're able to influence other people. I think also what will be and for me that's something that's so good, no? If you can even at least convert one person to start biking, or that's one. That's already an achievement. But what also is a bad day would be like, again when you work, when you see projects getting undone. For example, a bike lane that has already been installed, and then you see that slowly. Actually, not as slow. Yeah, binabaklas. It's actually, so it's almost like, you're thinking, ningaskugon nga ba ang gobyerno pag sinasabi nilang we are prioritizing vulnerable road users. So that's one that would really, parang sakit na you put so much in your mind, you're thinking, so what happened to the money and the time and the effort that was put in installing that? And what happens to, are you prioritizing the minority who own cars, because majority of Filipinos don't own cars. So why are there no sidewalks? Why are there no bike lanes? Or why are there no laws that will really protect the vulnerable road users, whereas they are really the majority? So that's, when I think about that, or like a bad day, it's a bad day when these thoughts start coming in.
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
More flashbacks.
But no, another bad day would be when I lose it. Because, through the years of all this biking, I really used to be, I would slam my hand on the hood of a car. I'd say, bike lane! I would, my voice, my face, I'd be angry. But through the years, as I'm mellowing, I'm trying to change my approach. Like today, I used, I said, Kuya, which is not me, Kuya, pwede padaan, bike lane. So he kind of looks at me, he sees a woman, and then he kind of moves a little to the side. So, but usually, that's not the way. They will look at you with disdain and say, parang, doon ka. They'll point you elsewhere, or wag ka dito, dapat hindi ka dito. Yeah. So those are the days, when that are not good days, or.
How do you deal?
How do I deal with it? Inhale,
breathing,
exhale, yes, and then you just really have to shake it off and start again. You'll say tomorrow's another day, or just sometimes, to be honest, and I have yelled and I've used swear words. Nagbura talaga ako ng masakit dito sa lalamu hanggang sumakit ang lalamunan ko. Because it also helps when you kind of let it out. To release. But I try as much as possible to use more the kindness approach. Which is very difficult because we live in a very car-centric society.
I got it.
Yeah.
And aggressive drivers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
It's funny that you said, because so before, when I would see people littering, noon, sobrang sungit ko, I'd be like, excuse me, mukha bang basurahan to? Ganon.
ako pinipulot ko, binabalik
Yun.
ko.
So I learned from the advocate, A.G. Sanyo, the environmental advocate. So I asked him, how do you deal with it? And he said, pinupulot ko kung pwedeng pulutin. And sinasabi ko, excuse me, nahulog niyo po.
So that's the same.
Yeah, and then I was like, that's a much kinder approach. So nag-change. Nag-change na ako ng approach. A bad day for me, going back to the question. So this morning, I was so excited to go back to work after holidays. And then the first email I saw was a rejection letter for a grant that we applied for and would have solved a lot of our financial issues for this coming year. And then I was like, but it was a bad moment. I don't want it to affect the rest of my day.
Right.
And ganun talaga eh. When you apply for something, wala naman talagang guarantee that you're going to get it. But then it also opens up the question of, oh my God, where am I gonna get, 2 million, 3 million to support this program? But a wise philosopher named Ariana Grande said, thank you next, di ba? Grande A 2019. So ngayon, after that, I started messaging people, following up on some other funding proposals. But I think what's harder for me, and something I have a hard time with, is when the people we work with, whether it's a national government agency, a local government, or corporation, basta a partner, will suddenly say, we changed our priorities. Or we had to change our mind, we can't do the program anymore. Tapos nag-prepare ka na, it's almost there. And then you're like, okay, ano na ngayon? And they don't have a good reason. Someone in the higher-ups just changed or the budget changed. And I remember one particular really down moment. I was calling my dad and I was crying, and he's been in this field for a long time. And he told me, you have to think of your work as a game.
A game.
A game. Like, wag mong dibdibin. Sabi niya, you have to learn how to play, and you have to learn to have fun, and you have to learn to be strategic. So, when he said that, it was maybe 2013 or 2014. So I reframed na, oo nga naman, if I want to be here in the long run, I can't let everything affect me emotionally. And really learn to play, like, what's my next move? Diba? What's my strategy? So that helped me a lot in managing my emotions better and really thinking, what's the next move if I want to have longevity in this advocacy?
True.
Wise.
Yeah.
Wise.
Me, every time I go out of the house and see people who's not or very resistant to change, particularly in including persons with disabilities in their programs, plans, and activities. But it's true, I usually go back to my goal, why I started or why I became an advocate. And that is true. The important thing is that I have to enjoy while facing those kinds of challenges, because I have lots of challenges. No, it's just a bad day, a bad moment, but it's not a bad life.
Yeah.
No? Because if it will affect me the whole day, every time I face those kinds of people, no, nothing will come out of it. No, so I changed my mindset. For example, that local chief executive, it's not his priority on persons with disabilities. So I have to make ways. I have to re-strategize. So I always think, what shall I do? So I guess, I have to make him a champion. So that's my goal now. So how? So I have to plan better, I have to re-strategize, or I have to do things, create some things wherein I will invite him or a certain official or certain people that I would want to change their perception, their negative perception. I know it's not easy. That's what I have mentioned, it's more progressive realization. But changing my mindset first, before changing the mindset of the person that I would want to change their mindset, is really very important. So I have to look at it na, madali lang yan. Ganun na lang iniisip ko, it's like a game. Parang na-mention mo, it's like a game, true, no? Kaya kailangan hindi tayo makikipag-away sa kanila. Yun, kailangan.
Kahit gusto mo na.
Yes, kahit gusto mo na silang warlahin, promise, no? Parang, hindi, kailangan mabait pa rin si Mau. Hindi pwedeng, So I have to find champion yun yung challenge yun. Sabi ko, sige, kailangan lambingin. So, kailangan yun. Paano kaya maging malambing? So, pero first and foremost, pinagdadasal ko talaga. No? Pagising ko sa umaga, I pray na yung araw ko, kahit man may mabasa ko, may makasalubong, na maging matatag ako sa mga ganong klaseng maliit man o malaking challenges para alam kong harapin ito. No? Yun yung tulungan niya ako, gabayan niya ako. Kasi very, very important sa akin yan eh. Pangalawa, kailangan kilala ko yung sarili ko, kasi kahit anong sabihin niya, hindi ako mababali. Kasi ilang beses na akong nadapa, nabali sa mga negative na ganyan. So, hirap, pero it takes time. Kailangan talagang consistent ka. So, pagmamahal mo sa sarili mo rin, at saka sa ginagawa mo. Kasi, I enjoy what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. And it fulfills me kahit maliit yung nagagawa ko. Difference sa bawat isa o sa sektor namin.
I love that. Mahirap din kasi personal advocacy
Yeah.
natin to, but we cannot take it personally when we get set back. So that balancing act is so tricky, right? So, but interesting, parang all of you had the same, basically, that was the conclusion. So we're going on to the last few questions of our interview. Gusto ko mag-big picture rin tayo na looking back through history, yung Philippines, how far it's also gotten in terms of human rights, diba? Yung suffrage, and also even a lot more job opportunities have been open to women. Meron namang progress, right? All the way from, Spanish times, pre-colonial times. But I wanted to ask kung ano yung takeaways niyo from that progress. Like, we have achieved much, but what still needs to be done, and where do you think we are now? And where should we be headed? What does that future look for you, for women?
In terms of takeaway, I'd say that through the years, it's a very big jump to see that there are more women now on the road.
Yeah.
More women, or for example, to have an active transport specialist in the office with that kind of job, because usually transportation, you'll think that it's a man's job.
Male-dominated,
But in terms of what needs to be done, there's still a lot to be done in terms of education, raising awareness. It's something that I've been trying to do with workshops, and even when we do conduct the bike lessons. The bike lessons, it's not just about teaching them how to bike, but we also teach why we're doing it, and the importance, the benefits. So we talk about how to be a voice. We talk about the importance of women empowerment, of how that freedom, the freedom of being who we are and pushing for what we want, no? In terms of so much that is really, when I talk about education, it's not just about for the children, it's also about educating the citizens for what we want to happen. Even so, like in an LGU, they have an ordinance, but the LGUs, even the people in the LGU are not aware. So you need to inform them, let them know, so everyone's on the same page. Or for children, again, include it into the curriculum. So there's so much, because in terms of awareness, there's that aware education, there's also that enforcement. If you do have a policy in
Safe
place,
Spaces Act.
yes. So there's that enforcement, because you can have great policies, but if enforcement isn't there, then that's useless. Or you can raise awareness, but you don't have the what you call that, the infrastructure in place. Then again, it will be useless. So
Like the urinals that you mentioned earlier, na walang pambabae.
it really has to be. It can't be just one. It has to be, as you said, holistically. The approach has to be holistic. So if we're talking about 4 E's: education, enforcement, engineering, which is the infrastructure, and the engagement, which is community. So it has to be all of that put together. There's so much that still needs to be done. So in community, pulling people, getting more people to advocate, getting more people to be on the same page with you, so that more people can really realize that we can have live better lives, more safe lives, safety, or livable communities.
For me, yung saying, diba, there's a saying na life is a marathon, not a sprint, mga ganyan, mga pang cross-stitch, diba? So for me, life is a relay, or advocacy work specifically is a relay. I'm here because someone passed on the baton to me, and in the future, or now, I'm passing the baton to people that I train or people that I mentor. It's about being generous and being supportive to other people who want to be in the same trail and not seeing them as competition. Because in the end, all of us win when there are more
correct.
effective advocates in this field. And in terms of what still needs to be done, for me, we need more allies, especially men, to be allies and advocate for us also and other genders, not just women, but like you said earlier, the LGBTQ community. And we have to understand that no matter what job we have, meron tayong magagawa. Like, a lot of people say, I want to join an NGO. Ganyan. I'm like, no, don't. Stay where you are and make a difference in your field.
Yeah.
Kasi if lahat tayo sa NGO, it's not gonna work. We need people in media, in corporations, in schools, in governments to do the right things.
It's very important for me to include men, and wherein women are experiencing some challenges, so that they will be able to understand saan ang pinanggagalingan ng isang babae. No, malayo na tayong narating, pero tandaan natin, ang babae isang nanay. Kailangan niyang magbantay sa anak niyang may kapansanan, kung may anak siya may kapansanan. Pero paano maiintindihan ito ng kalalakihan? Diba? Kung hindi rin nila ma-experience yung pag-aalaga ng isang batang may kapansanan, for example. So, napaka-importante na hindi lang kasi ang nakakaalam ng mga batas na meron tayo. Kasi napakarami na nating batas no? Kung batas na gender. So, dapat in-invite natin din ang mga lalaki at babae o LGBTQ, no? Para alam nila na may mga scenario o may mga instances or mga experiences na na-experience ang bawat isa para naiintindihan ng bawat isa kung saan din sila nanggagaling. Siguro, sa isang example, sa persons with disabilities, maraming classifications. Around 10 already, right? Ngayon, may public hearing kasi po this coming Friday para sa development ng categorization ng disability. Ibig ko sabihin, ako ay may physical disability. No? Paano ko maiintindihan yung na-experience ng isang babaeng deaf o babaeng hard of hearing kung hindi ako na-expose or na-immerse or hindi ako na-include, no? Kung may segregations kami mga iba't ibang may kapansanan. Kasi marami issues no? Ganon din sa mga parent na may anak ng mga batang babae o batang lalaki may kapansanan. Ganon din kapag siya ay may psychosocial disability, no? Pag mayroong intellectual disability, iba-iba ang mga pinanggagalingan. Iba-iba ang kwento ng buhay nila. Pero alam natin kung paano natin ito tatawirin, kung aware ang bawat isa sa mga pinanggagalingan, hindi tayo, magkakaintindihan tayo, no? At yung batas na nandiyan, sa tingin ko, ito ay mas strictly enforced kung mismo ang mga officials na dapat na nagpapatupad nito ay naiintindihan din nila at hindi sila resistant dun sa change kasi mababawasan yung budget nila, hindi sila priority, no? Kung ang babae nga sa pangkalahatan, di ba, nakakaligtaan, much more din sa aming mga babaeng may mga iba't ibang klase ng kapansanan. So imaginein mo, at iba rin yung mga babaeng indigenous, mga indigenous women, yung mga babaeng mga informal workers, yung mga, di ba, iba-ibang nasa batayang sektor na pag sinasabing, hindi mo kasi na babae ka included ka na sa programa no? Hindi. Kasi parang one size fits all lang yung gustong programa ibigay sa lahat sa atin, di ba? So, another is, totoo yung minention mo, no? Passing the baton is really very important. Success ng isang leader, lalo sa mga kababaihan o sa kalalakihan, kung na-mentor, may mga na-mentor sila na pwedeng maipagpatuloy yung mga magagandang nagawa o gagawin o na nakita nilang maganda ito at pwede rin nasa kanila rin na hindi ipagpatuloy yung maling nakita nila na hindi dapat ipagpatuloy. Kasi mali nga diba? At ito ay mag-i-innovate or may mas magandang po pwedeng gawin o solusyon dun sa mga nakita nilang ay hindi maganda sana kung, no? Pangatlo, naniniwala ako sa wisdom ang wisdom ay hindi lang sa mga nakatatanda. no, na hindi lang sa mga elderly, older persons, senior citizens, naniniwala ako na ang wisdom din ay nasa mga kabataan. So kung papakinggan din natin yung mga wisdom na meron at na-experience ng mga kabataang ito at ibabangga din natin sa experience ng mga older people, no, na nalagpasan ko na yan, sasabihin ng guro natin o principal na babae o ano, o hindi nyo naiintindihan kung saan ang pinanggagalingan namin. Lalo't sa henerasyon ng mga bata, nandoon umusbong yung mga LGBTQ, di ba? So, para pakinggan natin sila. Kasi malamang nandoon yung solusyon na hindi natin nakikita sa mga nakatatanda na nasa LGBTQ. Na hanggang ngayon, patuloy nilang pinaglalaban yung hindi nila nakuha nung bata pa sila. At ngayon, pwedeng ipagpatuloy ng mga susunod na henerasyon. Yun yung para sa akin.
Dapat may cross-generational learning.
Yes.
Yes.
Listening.
And
Listening.
Yeah. Conversation.
Working together.
A dialogue.
Yeah. No?
Yeah.
So much parang, you're right, no? Communities working together, passing the baton, and listen, everyone should actually listen and then act on what you hear in a positive manner for the good. Hindi yung, parang, let's let go of ego.
That's
Let go
egos is a
let
critical
go
part.
of ego, because ego can get in the way. And just really think about, let's think about the good that it can do for everyone.
Love the insights. As in, I could go on and on with this panel, but we have limited time, no? So I'd have to ask my last question. And this is really for women who feel stuck. Like, ano yung advice you for women who feel they aren't able to chase their passion? Siguro, we are in a privileged space na meron tayong freedom and, we had all of the resources to do what we love, but not all women have that. So whether they feel they need permission, whether they lack support, or they feel na hanggang dito lang ako, ano yung advice nyo for them on how to chase that dream even if people or circumstances are telling them no?
Ako, it's very related to the conversation. Find a mentor, find a buddy, find a community.
Support,
the support.
Find a husband to support. Who has the same hobby.
Yeah, syempre may bagay romance.
That really helped
Allies,
really a
right?
lot. Yeah. You're right. Having Rosar with me, I could not have done what I'm doing without him. Because he really pushed, and he's always been very supportive. Not just supportive, he's really with me. So that's when I say find a buddy, find a support group, and always think that, you know what, never mind what other people will say. Because I think a lot of people, a lot of women are worried about, an image.
Yeah.
They're worried about what others will say. No, just do it. Do it and stand up, find your voice. Because, in the long run, everyone, everyone makes mistakes anyway, and they won't remember that. They will remember that you stood up, that you voiced out your opinion. But more than anything, really, I think if you're afraid, then you really need someone. You can't, if you feel that you can't do it alone, then you find a buddy.
You're a cheerleader.
Yes. You find a community, that will help you find your voice. I think that's...
I think for me, you have to explore why you're feeling stuck. If it's external, meaning maybe a job, so it's your economic situation, a toxic partner, and then it can also be internal. You create your own barriers, your fears, diba? Sinasabi mo na, I can't do it, ganyan. Or it can be both. So when you know the answer to that, then you can be a little bit more action-oriented. But I think the other issue is that we always have this misconception that we have to make a career out of our passion. Hindi naman kailangan. If, for example, you are an advocate for biking, hindi mo naman kailangan gawing full-time job yun eh. You can do it on weekends, you can do it after work. We have to remove that idea that we have to go all in all at once. I didn't do marine conservation full-time until many years after, like maybe 5 or 6 years after I started Save Philippine Seas, because I couldn't afford to be a full-time marine conservationist, and that's okay. That was my journey. Diba? Pwede mo namang gawing hobby or side hustle yung passion mo. So if that's the plan, then do it a little at a time. And then maybe it can stay as your hobby or your side hustle. And maybe eventually it can be your career. But don't let the idea of that get in the way of you enjoying what you're doing.
Parang you're paralyzed with that pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Kayo.
I've been stalked several times. Could be hormonal, right? Like that. But I entered this advocacy when I was after my schooling. No, so at first it was okay. I'm doing what I love. I'm working and I'm doing this as a hobby for the persons with disabilities, no? So there's no conflict of interest then. And I'm also serving the church because that's non-negotiable for me. You know, yan. So every time I see people na who's always telling me, thank you, Mau. Thank you, Ate Mau. So the fulfillment is really, really, iba talaga yung pakiramdam ko. No? Masaya po ako. Pero every time I face challenges, I lock myself in my room. I pray, no? Tapos, I do what I love most. I love reading, no? In silence, listening to music, or I play the piano before. Now, I'm not playing the piano anymore. So, and then, as what you have mentioned, no? If it's external, I assess myself. If it's internal, so what should I do? No? I talk with my mom. I talk with my siblings. No? Very important yung support system ng family because ever since the support of my family is there. Kahit nung maliit pa ako hanggang naputulan ng paa, yan, hanggang ngayon, sabihin nila sa akin, di wag ka na lang dyan, mag-resign ka na lang mga ganun. Hindi mo sumahal ko to kaysa sa sweldo. Alam mo, isipin mo. And, stock, basta important sa akin hindi yung sweldo. No? Kasi kung iisipin ko yung sweldo, kailangan pa rin kasi wala kang pambayad ng bills. Paano kung hindi enough yung babayarin mo, no? Hindi enough yung sweldo mo dun. Anong gagawin mo, 'di ba? So maraming factors ka na iisipin. Pero ano yung ginagawa ko? Sabi ko, binabalikan ko yung goal ko noon, yung objective ko kung bakit ako pumasok sa ganito. At bakit ako na-stuck? Kasi ganito yung ginawa mo. Kasi ganito yung ginawa mo. So, anong gagawin mo, Mau? Parang akong, ayaw kong gamitin yung word. Minsan, napagkakamalan ko na yung sarili ko merong multiple personality. Diba? Kakausapin ko yung sarili ko, dapat ganito. Kaya habang naliligaw ako sa banyo, andun yung eureka moment ko. Sabi ko gano'n. Parang, habang naliligo, parang, okay, alam ko nang gagawin ko paglabas ng banyo. So, balik na ulit ako. Pero yung stock up talaga, 2 weeks ako sa kwarto. Pero naliligo pa rin ako, no? Kumakain, yan. Saka nandiyan ang mami ko nagluluto for me. Alam na nila pag ng family. At, meron akong spiritual advisor talaga na nagsasabi ako ng ko sa kanya. And, humingi ako ng tulong anong gagawin ko, no? Kasi para alam ko kung tama ba yung gagawin ko or hindi. And at the same time, yung mentor ko sa disability, kasi nangamatay na sila lahat. So, yung mga old mentors na wala na, yung mga mostly blind sila. No? Yung mga sumunod na nag-mentor sa akin, sa kanila ako lumapit ko ano yung mga dapat kong gawin. And in-embrace nila ako, kahit ano pa yan. In-embrace nila ako at sige, pagpatuloy mo, gawin mo lang yung magaganda, ganito yung gawin mo. So, kailangan ko ng may taong mag-guide din sa akin, no? Na hindi lang, syempre, may dasal, pero yung taong sa sektor, hindi lang sa disability sector, pati po sa Move as One Coalition, nabanggit ko rin, at marami po sa kanila na, alam mo yung hindi mo akalain na kahit pamilya mo, naging pamilya mo rin sila kasi alam mong nandiyan sila para sa iyo. So, alam ko na rin kung sino yung mga lalapitan ko. Yan, kasama na siya.
Support system is very important.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I mean, hearing your stories, diba? Hearing how you've managed to run after your dreams and pursue your passions, but also still keeping in mind lahat ng challenges that women face in your sectors. I think it's really been enlightening for me and for our viewers, hopefully, to see you in action and to hear your words of wisdom. So thank you so much for joining, being part of this panel discussion. And again, no, Abante Babae. This is really for Women's Month and for women out there, anyone really who feels stuck and want to do more where they are and feel could be inspired by your words. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
for
much.
having
Thank
us.
you very much.
So again, to our viewers, thank you so much for watching and joining us in this special episode. We will be having more Be the Good episodes which focus on communities and advocacies. We help you get smart about the campaigns and advocacies you want to support. Once again, I am Pia Ranada, Rappler's Head of Community. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Goodbye.